Good afternoon and welcome to my, well, I normally say Facebook Live, but I'm also today on YouTube as well. Well, I hope so. Fingers crossed, you will see me both on Facebook and YouTube. So welcome. My name is Michelle Dutrissa and I'm independent demonstrator in Stamping Up in New South Wales, Australia. Now, for me to see comments from you and know who is placing the comments, you do have to allow StreamYard's access to your Facebook and possibly even to YouTube. So I have added a link in my description above. So if you can click on that, that would be great. Now, I just want to go through a couple of things that are coming up with Stamping Up, a couple of promotions. So just bear with me one moment and I'll just bring the first one up. Okay, savings are in bloom. So Stamping Up offering as of the 1st of March to the 31st of March, you can save 20% off the mini Stampin' Cut embossing machine, plus some of the compatible bundles that go with that. Just to give you an idea of some of those bundles, you've got Pansy Patch, Quiet Meadow bundle. Now, I'm only naming a few. I'm not going through all of them. Sweet as a Peach bundle, Seascape bundle, Welcome Window bundle. So as you can see, there's quite a few ones there. Garden Wishes. So that's only just a few of them. So that I will be posting up more information about that on both my Facebook page and in my blog. So if you want to find out more about that, you can. Sorry about that. Just pop this secondary phone onto mute. Okay then. Now the next promotion that we have happening soon is the Waves of the Ocean. Now this is a suite that will be becoming available. It is something that's going to be in the new annual catalogue, and we're getting very, very close to having the new annual catalogue going live. I think that's happening in about April. So this is a viewing of that, and you can purchase it as of the 1st of March. It has a beautiful stamp set and dies that go with it. Now, the designer series paper and the blue foil specialty paper and the rhinestones, I believe, are only during this promotion. So let me just show you another slide of some of those products. So from what I understand, the stamp set and dies you will find in the new annual catalogue when that comes out, but the other items are only available for a short time frame, and it's usually only while stocks last. So again, that will be available as of, I believe, sorry, I can't quite read the fine print. I believe it's as of the 1st of March as well. So that's only a couple of days away. And again, I will post more information about that on my Facebook page and in my blog. So let's just go back to me again. Don't want to talk about those things too long because I have got lots to share with you. Last night, I was playing around with my iPad and a video came up from Rachel Tasselman. I think that's how you pronounce her surname. That's Stamp Your Art Out with Rachel. And she had a really fantastic card using that Waves of the Ocean stamp set and papers, and she called it a pillar pop-up window card. And I just thought it was just a fantastic 3D fun fold card, and I thought we might try to make that today. Now, I will let you know, I will put a link to her blog in my blog for all the measurements, and her measurements are all in inches and using the letter size cardstock. So their card sizes in the US are a little bit smaller than ours. So I have adjusted mine to go with our card sizes, but you know, it's only a small difference, so even if you wanted to make it up to her size. She also used the stitched rectangle dies to do a lot of her cutting out, and because and they're sort of more geared towards those American sizes. Now, because I have because I've been using our Australian measurements or our metric measurements to make this card, I've had to make a few adjustments. So she also showed in her video how you can cut, if you don't have the rectangular dies, how you can cut out the windows and everything in your cardstock if you just cut it with your trimmer. So that's what I'll be doing today. I do have the dies, but I just thought, no, I'm going to do it with the trimmer. And I'm going to do it to our sizes. I haven't actually made one to go through and just check that it all works. So this is going to be a little bit of a play. So just bear with me. And I'm going to flip my camera over just to show you the products we're going to be using and all our sizes and measurements. So just bear with me 1 second while I do that. Okay, so there's my desk. Please, as we're going along, if you're new, please just say hi and let me know where you're from. And as I said, if you could allow StreamYards to use your Facebook page or your YouTube channel, that would make it very easy for me to see who you are. Now, the products I'm going to be using for this card, I'm going to use the Stella Birthday stamp set because I actually haven't used that as yet. I don't often make children's cards because I don't have grandkids yet, and my kids are young adults. So, but I just thought I'm going to try make something with this today because as I said before, I am trying to make at least 5 cards with every stamp set that I own. That's my... Hi, Vicky. Thank you. My YouTube is better. Okay, that's great. Okay, then. We're also going to be using the same designer series papers we used last week, which is the Abstract Beauty designer series papers, and I'm using this particular one today because when I first saw this paper for the very first time, I actually automatically thought of this stamp set because what a great sky, and it's already got the gold flecks or stars in the background. So that's what we're going to be using for our card. I've also got the Give It a Whirl dies because I've cut out this. It's got some really nice little stars, so I've cut them out in gold foil. So let me just show you the measurements we're going to be using. So these are a little bit all over the place, so just bear with me 1 second. So we have a basic white piece of cardstock. Now it's going to go onto the back of our card because this is not an opening card, but it has got a stand on the back of it built in, so you can stand your card upright. So to give you something to write on, you write your greetings on, we have a piece of basic white cardstock. Now that measures 10 by 14.4 centimeters. We have our card base. Now, as I said, it's not a folded card, it's just a single flat card, and that's 10.5 by 14.9. So this basic white piece is eventually going to get adhered to on the back of that. We then have a piece of designer series paper, and that is also 10 by 14.4 centimeters. Now, we'll put all these measurements on my blog, so you will find them all there, and that's going to go onto the other side of our card. We then have the pieces that are going to create our window, and we have another piece of Misty Moonlight, and that's at 8.5 centimeters by 12.9. And we're going to cut a window out of this piece, and we're going to cut a window that's 2 centimeters in all the way around, and I'll show you how we're going to do that. We also have another piece of the designer series paper, and that's 8 by 12.4, and we're going to cut a window out of this at 1 centimeter all the way around. You also need another piece of cardstock. Now this is 7.5 by 5 centimeters, and we will be eventually cutting this down in half at 3.25. I think that's what it works out. No, it's a bit more than that, 3.75, I think. And that is the pieces we're going to make the pillars to hold the front of our card out, the window out from the back of the card. And then we've got another piece which is 5 centimeters by 14.5, and we're going to score this piece at 1 centimeter, 3.5, 6, and 13.5 centimeters. There's quite a bit in this, so this might take a little while. So if you've got a drink, sit back and relax, and let's get making. Oh, you're on YouTube. Great to know, Vicky. Thank you. Okay, so the other piece of cardstock you're going to need is a piece of basic white, just a scrap piece. So then we can cut out now. Oh, I thought I'd frozen for a little bit there. So we can stamp and colour and cut out. Now, as you see, I have already pre-stamped this. I've stamped this in Mento because I'm going to use the blends to colour that all in. So I'm going to quickly show you. I'm not going to colour this in completely because I already have done it, because I think this card could take a little while for us to construct. So I just want to go through quickly on some of the colours and how I've coloured this in. So to start with, I'm going to pull out the colours I'm going to use for his face. And as I said, there are quite a few here. I didn't use that one. Okay, so I've got here, I've got my light petal pink. I've got my dark petal pink. And I've got my ivory. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to colour in his face with my, actually the light, wrong one, the light petal pink. And I'm just going to leave his mouth and his hair and just go around his eyes. You could add a little bit of blue if you want to give him nice big blue eyes. But I'm just going to colour all the way around. I'm just colouring in a circular motion. Now these are alcohol blends, so all your colour will blend. And to get a nice blend when you're adding other colours, you should actually saturate your cardstock quite well. So if I turn this over now, you should find that the colour is starting to come through. Yes, I did try to stamp it and it didn't quite work. It's the beauty of Stampin' Up! And their cardstock. You can flip it over and stamp on the other side and keep going. Okay, so I've saturated that with colour. Always to work with a small area. Don't really work with anything bigger than a 50-cent piece. Just for the fact that you want this to stay moist while we're working. So I'm just going to add a little bit of, this is the ivory, around his face as shadowing, because his face is inside a helmet. So we do want a little bit of shadowing there, a little bit on his chin. And then we're going to come back in with a little bit of the dark and give him some cheeks. And then I'm going to go over again. Now I am using the fine tip, but I'm just going to go over this again, going in a circular motion and just blending those colours all in together. So you'll just lose that harsh line of the other colour we've added. Okay. So that's his face. Then we're going to take the Cajun Craze, and we're just going to colour his hair. Now I've decided on this colour, which is a nice browny, sort of reddy browny colour for his hair. And I'm just going to leave it at that. So that one there was Cajun Craze in the light. Next colours I'm going to use are going to be my Smoky Slate Light and Smoky Slate Dark. And we're going to colour in his helmet. Don't forget those little pieces on his ears. And I'm just going to quickly go around his helmet here with the light. Now I always like to lay my light down first, just because that's saturating my paper and is going to allow other colours and the darker shades on top to blend easily. So I'm going to go around that, and I'm just going to do that little bottom piece of his helmet there as well. Then again, I'm just going to add a little bit of shadowing. Whoops, I want the fine tip end. I tend to use my fine tip end a lot more than I use my other one. And I'm just going to add a little bit of shadowing there, a little bit there as well, and a bit on top. Maybe a bit in there. And then again, around his neck. I'm just going to add just a bit. And then again, coming in, just going around in a circular motion and just blending those colours out. Now they are fairly small areas, so you don't need to spend a huge amount of time if you don't want to. I'm just going to have a quick look at my other one I've done. Okay, so his uniform, I'm going to do the same, and I just think I've started with my dark, and I should have started with my light. That's okay. Just blend that out. Again, I'm just going to go over this area. With my light. Now I'm just doing this fairly quickly. Everywhere where you think there might be shadowing, and they tell us that up in the atmosphere we don't have the same sort of shadowing as we get down here on Earth, so I wouldn't be too pedantic about where your shadows are coming from. We just want to really add a bit of depth. So again, take my lighter one and let's do his trousers. Again, add a bit of shadowing in there. And blend that out. Now with his boots, I decided to use a light black. And I'm not worrying too much about adding any more colour than that. I didn't want a solid black, just the light black. And then we're going to take the light so saffron, and we can colour in the bottom of his boots. Don't worry if you go out of the lines, because we are going to, and you can colour that star in as well. We are going to cut this out. And then I've got here the dark daffodil delight, and we're just going to add a bit of highlight into the star and on those belt keepers. Real red in dark and light for his belt. That's the dark, this is a light one. Again, just quickly colour those in. Add a little bit of shadowing there. Just blend those out a little bit. And then we're going to use the Balmy Blue, Seaside Spray in dark and light. I don't even know whether that's a colour we have around anymore. Probably not. I haven't taken it out of my list, but that's okay. Any of the lighter blues would do. I'll have to remove that one from my blends. But I do like this colour. So I'm just going to colour in his gloves. Again, a little bit of a highlight. And just blend that in. And you can add a little bit of the real red in dark there if you wish, and maybe a little bit in his eyes. So that's him all coloured in, and now we have our rocket. So the colours I've used for the rocket, I've used just jade, shaded spruce. Gee, I'm getting my names all wrong today. Shaded spruce for the main part of our rocket. So again, I'm just colouring this all in a circular motion, going all the way around in the shaded spruce. And I'm going to do that little area down there as well. Then in the dark shade of spruce, just add some shading there, and a little bit there, and then come in with that light one and just blend that out a little bit. You could use your flicking motion if you want, but we're working on such small areas. I don't think that really matters at the moment. We're going to come back to our real red. And we want our light real red. And we're just going to do part of the nose cone there, and those areas there. Again, give it a little bit of shading. Blend that in. Now with the flame at the back, what I did for that, again, so I'm using the So Saffron light, and I'm just colouring all of that area in. We're going to add a little bit of depth to that by coming in with our darker So Saffron and just adding a bit more there. And we need a bit more colour coming out from those flames. So I'm just going to add a little bit of this one here is light cinnamon cider. And then I also have the light pumpkin pie. So, and I'm bringing that out a little bit further again. And then I'm just going to come in over the top just to blend all of that out. And that's in the dark Daffodil Delight. If you have found that you've made that a little bit too dark there, which I've done, you could add a little bit of just a tiny little bit of your colour lifter, just to take a bit of that colour out. I'm just going to use that piece to colour the Daffodil Delight, to colour in the window, and the grey back to the slate. Oh, yeah, smoky slate for the nose cone. And that piece just there, and I've left that rim around the window in white. So that's all the colouring in. So I've just done that very quickly. I'll show you what I did earlier. So let me just move all of those out of the road. There's quite a few colours there. I have a tendency of probably using too many. But I have already stamped and coloured these, and that's my little boy there, and then that's my ship there. Okay, so I've just fussy cutted around those, leaving no white edges. So that's all you need to do on that. So we'll pop those to one side, and let's start. Oh, the other thing I've done too is I've taken out of the Give It a Whirl, and I've used, there's two sets, put them away, two sets of little stars. There's two dies in here, just like that, and I've cut out all of these stars, which I thought if we need to add more stars, we can do so. So I've got those all pre-cut as well. So let me just remove that all out of the way. Pop that over there. So they're all pre-done. The other thing we need to do, and I have already stamped this, is the Celebrating You sentiment, which is going to go on the bottom of our card. And I'm just going to use my little trimmer here to trim this out. Now you could use a punch to angle your ends or whatever you want to do, and I'm just, that's looking a little bit not quite straight, so I'm just eyeing off my sentiment there and hopefully got that straighter. Yes, may have cut that a little bit small. Let's just remove that piece from it because we don't need that anymore. And I'm going to trim this to about there. Let's see how we go. Okay, so there's my sentiment, and I may want to trim my ends down. I'm not quite sure as yet, so we'll see how we go with that. Pop that underneath there, out of our road. So let's have a look at these cards. We've got one more bit of stamping to do. So I've got my piece here, which is going to be my centre back. And in this stamp set, we're using two sentiments. So Celebrating You as a Blast, which we're going to put on the front of our card. And then on the back of the card, I'm going to have a stellar birthday. So we're going to put on this side of the card, we're actually going to put a stand. So this card can stand up. So we have to take that into account when we're stamping our other sentiment. So I'm going to stamp this piece. So this is around about 14.9 centimeters, so about 7.5 centimeters on either side, roughly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I've sort of put this on my grid paper, so then that line, that full heavy line on my grid paper at 20 centimeters is running roughly through the center of my basic white. So what I want to do is stamp my sentiment just on the left hand side of that. Now I just want to make sure I've got this up the right way. No, I've got it upside down. Good thing I checked. And we're going to stamp that at the top, just about there. So once you've done that and that has dried, then take our card base and we're going to adhere that down on there, leaving an edge all the way around. So I'm using my multi-purpose glue just to glue this down, just because it gives me a little bit of movement to position where I want that to go on the back, and then just give this a good rub down from the other side So that's the back of our card done. So now we need to do the front part. So I'm going to take this one here. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to glue that on there. So I'm just sticking all my measurements there. As I said, I will put my measurements all onto my blog, and I probably will get around to blogging this weekend. So again, just lining that up so that sits perfectly on there. When you put your glue on your designer series paper, don't take it too close to the edge because we don't want it to ooze out everywhere. You just want to spread it so then it just covers that inside area. So that's that piece done. So we have our back of our card and we have our front. So I'm just going to pop that over to one side. The next thing we have to do is these two pieces here. So I'm just going to move these bits out of the road, pop them all on top of there so I don't lose them. Possibly may not use all those stars, if any, but they're just good to have. And we need to cut some windows out of this. So I've got my trimmer. And what we want to do is we want to cut a 2 centimetre border all the way around this piece here. So I'm going to line that up with my 2 centimetres at the top. So I'm taking my piece of cardstock right to the very top. I'm going to line that up with my 2 centimetre mark on the right hand side. And then I'm also, what I've done here, don't know whether you can see, I'll just move that out of the road for a second. I've put a bit of tear and tape just along on the inside there so I can see all my measurements on there a lot easier. So I'm going to line that up to there, but I'm also going to, before I put this down, I want to put my cutting blade, and you've got a little marker about halfway along the cutting blade. I want to line it up. I might just turn it around to hit this way so I can see. Line it up with the 2 centimetre mark. So there's a little groove just there, and I want that on the 2 centimetre mark. So I'm going to pop that at an angle so I can just see what I'm doing. Pop this in here at 2 centimetres. That's on the 2 centimetre mark. And I'm going to cut down to, now I've cut this at 12.9, so I only want to cut it down to 2 centimetres in. So that's 12.9, 11.9, 10.9. So I'm going to cut down to that little marker gets to 10.9. Which is just about there. Okay, you can see how this would be. Whoops, I don't think I quite got that right. Okay, let's have a look. Got 2, 12.9, 12.9, 11.9. Now I've gone to 9.9. That's why it didn't look right. I've got to take that a little bit closer. If I take it to the 11, that's fine. We're not going to scribble over 1 mil. That looks better. I'm going to turn it over and I'm going to do the same thing again. So I'm going to take this back up to my 2 centimetre mark. Line this up on my 2 centimetres. Take it from 2 centimetres down to that just before 11 at 10.9. Turn it around 90 degrees, again lining it up at 2 centimetres. Making sure that that's lined up there. That one is lined up on there. Now this one is only 8.5. So what we want to do is take it to 6.5. So it's from 2 centimetres through to 6.5. And as you can see there, we've cut that almost perfect. So again, we're going to turn it around again and do the other side. And we're going to take it from the 2. So it would be a lot easier using, and probably a lot quicker, using your stitched rectangles. But I think it's always good to know this way of doing it as well, because I mean the stitched rectangles, if you use them 6.5, what you would have when all of this, I'll just show you what I'm talking about. So that's that, and that's going to sit on top of this. Now at the moment I have got the same distance between this mat all the way around my cardstock. Okay, if I used the stitched rectangles, what I would have is a greater distance on my sides and less top and bottom, so it wouldn't have been proportioned all the way around. Hello Susan, how are you? Welcome. So that's why I've done it this way. As I said, if you check out Rachel's YouTube on this, when she did this card, she will show you with the measurements, with the imperial measurements, and using the stitch rectangles. So now once we've done it with that, we've got to do the same thing with this one, but this time we're only going to do 1 centimetre all the way around. So we're going to repeat the same thing again. So we're going to pop 1 centimetre on there. We're going to take our marker up to 1 centimetre. And this time we're at 12.4. So we want to actually take it to 11.4. So we're just going to go along just to almost the 11.5. Turn it around and do the other side. I like to do my 2 long sides first and then come back and do my other one. That's at 1 centimetre. Take it here to 11.5. Do my 2 sides. Put my marker on 1 centimetre, and we're going to go to 7. Oh, sometimes this just wants to get a little bit stuck. There we go. And our last side. So again, pop that on 1 centimetre. And go from 1 centimetre up to 7. So that's how you can do that without using your stitched rectangles. So now we're going to adhere this piece onto here. And I think I'm going to, because as I said, I haven't actually made this up before I saw Rachel's, and I'm guessing here, and I think I'm going to make my inside measurement a little bit bigger because I've got too much of a gap there. So grab my ruler. Now if that's 1 centimetre, I want to make this probably, let's have a look. That fits perfectly around there. I want to make that window on my matte piece a little bit bigger. So I want to remove probably about 1/2 centimetre. So if that's the case, 1.5 centimetres. So let's just redo this one again. And still use the same one. These things always happen when you're going live. So let's just try this again. I'm going to try to trim the inside. So let's go 1.5. Pop that on 1.5. And we're going to take it down to almost your 11.4, I think. Try that again. Put it on 1.5. Trim that down. 7. That on 1.5 again. Let's see how well we went with that. Oh, look, beautiful. We've got another frame there. Keep that for something else. So where are you from, Susan? Love to know. Okay, let's see how that fits in there now. Beautifully. Okay, so I'm just going to pop some glue around the edges here. Now I'm just adding just a little bit right in that center. All the way around. Okay, so there's our window. So there's our back piece. So we've got our designer series paper attached to our Misty Moonlight on that one. We've got our backing on there. Just got to remember that that's our up because we've got our sentiment written there on the top. And that's the piece that's going to go on there like that. So now we have to work with the pillars that go on either side. So what I've done here, and this is a hint that Rachel sort of shared a little bit. So just put the lid on that glue so we don't have any spillage. But this is going to be eventually cut in two. So instead of cutting it in two, we're going to work in one piece at the moment. So it's 7.5 centimeters by 5. And what we're going to do is we're going to score this at 1 centimeter. So we're going to score, remove my cutting blade. We're going to score at 1, move it along to 2. So every centimeter, so we're going to go 1. Make sure we've got that in there. At 2. Going to go score it at 3. And then our last one, which is going to be at 4 centimeters or 1 centimeter from the other opposite side. And score that. Okay, so we've scored all of that. The next thing I'm going to do is add some tear and strip on the last one of these. So I'm just going to add that all the way down. Tear. Now, as I said, this was I said 7.5. It's actually 15. So it's that's my twice. So I needed 2 pieces 7.5 by 5. But what I've done is I've cut this at 15 by 5. Sorry for that. And then we're going to cut these in half again at 7.5. And that will give us our 2 pieces at 7.5, just like that. We're going to fold along all these score lines. On each one. And we're going to make these into a little tube. So you can peel off the backing off your, let me just grab a bone folder just to burnish those a little bit. If you sometimes don't rub this in well, the backing doesn't want to come off. So let's see how we go. That's it. So I'm going to fold that in. So I've folded it actually in at the 2 centimeter mark, and I'm going to take this last flap and fold it over the top. Okay, and it's going to form just a little box like that, and that is eventually going to get adhered onto the end there. So let's do that with our second one. I'm just going to again just burnish that. Fold that in So there's my adhesive strip. So I've folded it into the second score line, which is actually at 2 centimeters, and I'm going to fold that across. Just give that a good burnish just to make sure that that's all nice and secure and well adhered. Now I do want to add a little bit more adhesive on this, so I'm just finding where my join is. It's on that piece there, and I'm going to pop another piece of tear and tape across there like that, and the same one. Where is my join? Done a good job with that join. I think it's just there. Will do. You're not going to see this anyway, and that piece is going to go through there just like so. So there are 2 pillar pieces, so that's going to go on here, and these are going to hold these pillar pieces out. Now when watching Rachel's video, because their card is only 5.5 inches this way and ours is a bit longer at 14.9, she was able to sort of say, okay, if I adhered that to there and took it right to that, how did she do it? I think she adhered it and went that way, took it right to that edge, then when that folded up, that would come to there. But what I have to do is I'm going to actually put these on first. So I am going to have to put some more tearing tape on this, but I'm going to place these first. This is going to be where I'm going to have a little bit of a trial and error to see whether I can get these positioned in the right spot, because my sizings are a bit different. So I'm popping one in there. I'm just going to push that down just to make sure that that's well adhered. And the other one, I'm going to adhere that. Same sort of spot there. So that's going to come in like that. Now that has to have tape along those areas there too. So let's just do that now. Now we've got to work out how this is going to fit on here. So that's going to go roughly at about there. So when we fold that, we want it to fold like that. So if I took that to where she had it there, and then it may still work the same way because I've actually kept it all. So if that goes to about there, that goes to about there. Once that lifts up, I think we might be pretty close. Okay, we're going to give this a go. It's either going to work or not, and I'm going to cry. Okay, because what Rachel did is she lined up this cut edge with that cut edge there. So I'm going to try doing the same sort of thing. Burnish this down. I'm going to give myself a helping hand and only just pull that down a little bit. I want to line that up, making sure I've got by eye the same distance between there and there as there and there. And then hopefully when that pulls up, that should roughly be, it's about 1 centimetre. Yep, I think it's very close. Okay, so we're lining up these 2 cut edges, and we're going to remove that tape. So that's going to pop forward like that. Now I'm actually going to do this maybe a little bit different to the way that she did it, but theoretically this should, if I pull this across the opposite direction, lining up those two outer edges there. So again, I'm lining, before I lined up those two edges, this time I'm lining up this edge. I've only pulled down this as a tab. Pull that up. Fingers crossed. Ta-da! That worked. I won't cry. Okay, so can you see how now we've got like two pillars on either side? See if I can bring that up closer for you. And we've got a window, and that's pretty much centered. So when this goes into an envelope, that will fold flat like that because this base is still only envelope size. Okay. So now it's time to decorate. So let's have a look how we can decorate this. So we've got our starship. We've got our little man, little boy to go there, I think. So I'm going to put a little bit of glue. I'll work out where I want the glue to go. I want a little bit on the side of his helmet. Not too much because I don't want it oozing out. You could use glue dots if you weren't sure. I'm going to put a bit of glue there, a bit of glue on his hand, and a bit of glue on his bottom of his foot and around about his toe area. Let's take that out for the moment. So I'm going to fold that flat, and I want that going there like that. Just hold it down, let that adhere. So that's going to go there. Where can we put the sentiment? I'm going to trim our sentiment down a little bit. And I think I'm going to pop that sentiment going across him like that. But I'm going to use some mini dimensionals to pop him up on that. So I want one to go there, but there we don't want that to be seen. Let's get rid of that bit. Try that one again. So I may have cut this a little bit fine. No, that's okay. And I'm going to pop this. I haven't decided yet whether to trim back down the... So let's just take the backings off that. So I'm just going to flatten this a little bit just to... And I might just cut a little bit off there. I just want to leave a little bit because if I put a star on there, I can do that. We can pop a little bit of glue on the back of our rocket ship. Our rocket ship there in the distance. And let's have a look at some stars and just see if we can add maybe a few stars into this. So I've got 3 different size stars. What I want to do, I think, is add one of those little ones onto there. Just putting a little bit of glue there. I'm just having a look to see if I can find my tweezers easily. I've been having a little bit of a clean out, so I'm not quite sure where I've put them. What have I got there? Nope. Okay. Okay, we want one star there. We don't want to cover up all those gold bits in there, but let's just pop a few more stars maybe around this edge here. I've probably put a little bit too much glue on that, so I'm just going to share that around. And let's just grab a scrap. Wipe a bit of that off. Put one star there. And then a tiny weeny little one. I'm going to use this. Pop a little bit of glue just there. Pop another one there. And another little one. Now, do we need another big one or not? What does everyone think? Should I add another star, or is that enough? There's 5 on there now, and you've got a lot of gold glitter in there. I might just leave it. But tell me, what do you think? Is that enough, or should we add a bit more? So we've got one more thing to put on this card, and that's the stand that goes on the back. So what I've got is my piece of cardstock here, and this is cut at 5 by 14.5, and we're going to score this as well. And this is scored at 1 centimetre. Let's just move my cutter out of the road. 1 centimetre. Then at 3.5, actually I'm going to turn it around the other way. 3.5. Then I'm going to score this at, what's 6 centimetres? That doesn't sound right. Yes, it is. 6 centimetres. And then we're going up to 13.5. That'll leave us another tab on the end. So let's just fold all of these. So we're going to fold this one in. This one here is also going to go in. And then this one is going to go out. And then in. So let's just check and make sure I've got it right. That is going to go there, there, and there. This might have to rethink. No, it might be okay. Let's give it a go. So I'm just going to pop a bit of tearing tape on each end there. If anything, we may have to change our score lines in there. So I'm going to do the same thing and just tear that, pull that up and just give myself a little tab. And that way, if it's not right, I can hopefully easily remove it. So that's our front. So that should go roughly about there. And that one should fold and go about there. So then when that folds, might have to take them across a bit more. They might need to go a little bit more closer to the middle for that to work. And I don't think that's going to work. Okay. Let's have a re-look at these score lines. If we rescore this, so we've got 1 centimetre, then let's make it at 2.5. So I'm actually trying to lengthen this back piece. 2.5. So 2.5, and then we want to add another. Then score it at 4. Might have to get another piece of cardstock to do this. So what we want to do theoretically is have that piece going there, that piece then forming a stand like that. Okay, I'm going to grab another piece of cardstock because this one now has got too many folds. So bear with me 1 second. So this piece here, we're going to score it at 1. Score it at 1. I just want to make sure this is same length, just 14.5. I'm going to leave it at that length. I've got this piece now at 15 centimetres. And I'm going to score that 1 each end. So we want to have that piece coming down. That's going to come down like that. And we want it to come out probably at about, that is attached at that point. Let me grab a pencil. So that's the length, and then we probably want it to come out a little bit. So even if we just came out to that point there, let's score that at that. And we'd have to score that in half again. This is not going to give us very much of a an easel look. So we'll just play this by ear. Always trial and error when you haven't worked these things out to start with. So we're going to attach that to that. That's going to come across, and that's still too long. Okay. Let's try version number 3. Five centimeters. And I'm going to score that at 1. I'm going to score that at 2.5. 1, 2, and 1 there. So I've scored it at 1. Scored it at 2.5. I'm going to score it at 4. That's going to give me the piece that is going to stand underneath it. So then I'm going to score it at 15. And then roughly another centimetre I'm going to cut. So that's now 16 centimetres in length. So I've scored it here. I've got a 16 by 5 centimetre piece now. And then I've scored it at 1 centimetre, at 3.5, 1 centimetre, then at 2.5, sorry, then at 4, and then at 15. So theoretically now that should work a lot better going the opposite direction rather than. So let's have a look. So we really want that to be, oh, it could be too wide. Okay, the reason why I don't like this piece now is because if I laid this flat to put it in an envelope, let me grab an envelope and just see whether that's going to fit in one or not. Whoops. Sorry, folks. Center spinning. My drawer is just that little bit too close. That is only just going to fit. Okay, so let's just keep going then. I'm going to attach that right at the very top there because I want this to get into the envelope, because our envelope is only just 15 centimetres wide. So we don't want this piece being wider, finishing up wider than our envelope. And that's still not going to finish up correct. Okay, this is still not working out right. Sorry. Try again, another one. Good thing I've got plenty of cardstock here. and I'm going to score that at, I'm just going to make it a bit wider, 1.5. Then the width of our card, the width of that part of our card is at 14.9. So, no, that's at 10.5. So we don't want that being any longer than 10.5 because that's all got to fold back and fit there. So if we go 10.5, and that 10.5, so we've got 1.5, 11.5. Let's go 2, so 11.5, that will be 13.5 plus another 13, 15.5, and then we're going to cut that at 15, 16, 17. So let's see how we go this time. So we're going to have that one there, that fold there, that fold there, and that fold there. So when that goes on the back of there, that should fold up in that area there. So hopefully this had better work out. Go there. I'm going to put a bit of tearing tape on there. Burnish that down. Burnish that one down. You still with me, Vicky? Have I lost you yet? I'm going to take that right up to there. That one's going to go there. That's going to fold up, fold up. So theoretically, this should now work. Because to fit in an envelope, we need to be like so. Oh, at last I've done it. Okay, how's that for long-winded? So our tab ended up being 17 centimeters. So I scored this one in the end at 1.5 centimeters, then at 10.5 centimeters. So 1.5 plus the 10. So you're going to have 1.5. This is your score. 1.5 plus another width of your card, which is 10.5. So it's going to make it 10, 11. So that will make it 12 centimeters because this is 10.5 plus another 2 centimeters. So it'll make it 14 centimeters plus another 2 centimeters, make it 16 centimeters plus another 1.5, which will make it 17.5 centimeters. So to make this piece at the back has ended up being 5 centimeters by 17.5. And that piece is wrong. In the bin. Won't make that mistake again. So there's, at last, is my card. So that is a pillar because it's got those pillars there. It's got a stand on the back, as you can see, so you can stand it. You've got somewhere for your sentiment, and once all that is folded down, that will fit. Just got to tuck that sentiment in there a bit. That will fit into our envelope here in Australia. So I hope you've enjoyed that today. This is the first time I've done a YouTube live with using Streamlabs. It's the first time I've done this pillar card, but I do really like it, so I can't wait to give it a try using some other products. And it was fun just doing a little kids card for once. It doesn't really have to be for a kid. It could be for an adult that loves a bit of fun, loves the space themes, whatever. So a good all-around card. So I hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you very much for spending your time with me today. It has been a little bit longer than what I was hoping, but I hope you'll come back for more next Friday as we do another YouTube and Facebook Live. So thanks for joining me. Just let me pop my face up there again so you can see me. So thank you very much for joining me, and I hope you have a lovely day. Take care. It's the weekend tomorrow, and I will blog this so you can watch it at your leisure. So take care. See you later. Bye for now.